Are continuing to keep a close eye on 3I Atlas, a Manhattan-sized interstellar object believed to be a comet.
This is the biggest story unfolding before their eyes.
Surrounded by friggin' UFOs.
Of a UFO battle in orbit around Earth.
I believe that's 504, please.
Welcome back. Today our story is about 3IA Atlas, the supposed comet that's on a path towards Earth. Let's jump right into the anomalies that are surrounding this story and the possible reality that we could come to with this supposed comet. Also, give us a follow on Instagram at Aussie UFO News, and if you're into gaming, follow my other channel on YouTube, GTA Stories. I'll leave the link in description. Go give it a subscribe.
What the fuck?
Where is he? Whoa!
He's all the way out there.
Alright, this 3IA Atlas object that is coming towards Earth is a subject that has a lot of curiosity around at the moment, but also a lot of cover-up and isn't being reported in many of the mainstream media corporations, not surprisingly. But this News Nation clip basically covers all aspects of what's going on with 3IA Atlas that's spoken about by Loeb. So we'll jump into that and then clip out key sections of it, and I'll give you my thoughts on what I think this thing could possibly be.
Take a look at the new images of the object appearing to have lost its tail. Some scientists now theorizing that this is a new indicator that 3I Atlas is no comet, but potentially an alien craft. 6 weeks from now, it's set to get close to our planet, relatively speaking.
So, interestingly on that, 6 weeks from now, will the International Space Station or some military-industrial contractor in cahoots with NASA or Space Force or whatever there is in terms of international space surveillance try to deflect this object so we don't get to see what it is, especially if it is a UAP.
And as several scramble for more answers, theoretical physicist and Harvard professor Loeb called on NASA to release its new images of 3I Atlas. He shared this with us last week.
The best image was taken on October 2nd by the high-rise camera on board the Mars Reconnaissance Orbiter. And unfortunately, the argument is because of the government shutdown, this data was never released. It doesn't make much sense for the politics of the day to sabotage the progress of science.
Now, NASA using the Democrats' government shutdown of whatever it is in the US Senate has no connection to NASA or space agencies or release of photo imaging or declassified files. This is just a complete cover-up and an excuse to keep the 3IA Atlas imagery completely secret. So obviously they're hiding something. The question is, why are they hiding it and what is it that they're hiding? It sounds very fishy to me, and it pushes me towards more the thought that it is a UAP/UFO because of the obvious cover-up. Like, it's not like the old days where it was easier to cover things up. Now the information is out because of social media, and there's only so much they can do to censor it.
The data from NASA because of the government shutdown. So I very much hope that we will see it soon when the shutdown stops, and this data could give us the highest resolution image of 3I Atlas with a pixel resolution of order 30 kilometers. This is still bigger than the size of the object, but it would inform us about the material flowing out of it, the geometry of that.
See how here on NASA's official government website, they literally call it Comet 3IA Atlas? Isn't that again presuming what the object is without knowing what it is? That is not science. This shows you of a deliberate psyop cover-up through the internet straight away. And then for the excuses of covering up the footage, this really points to that this object is quite possibly a UAP.
Oh, first of all, it's very big. It's the size of a city, 5 kilometers in diameter, 1 million times more massive than the first interstellar object that we discovered 8 years ago. This is just the third, and it's so massive Another thing is that it moves in the plane of the planets around the sun, which is very surprising, a chance of 1 in 500. It shed some nickel without much iron, which is very surprising because the only place we find nickel without iron is in industrial production of nickel alloys. And most recently, as you pointed out, it actually showed some non-gravitational acceleration. There was some propulsion that moved it away from its original trajectory. And I would have expected that it would lose 10 to 20% of its mass. We don't see any cometary tail around it in recent days after it passed closest to the sun on October 29th. So all of these are anomalies. There are 10 of them. I didn't list all of them. I'm recommending collecting as much data as possible in the coming weeks before we figure out what this object is, because as you said, we sent the equipment out of the solar system, and maybe there was another civilization.
So that's coming from a physicist, not a nobody just making statements. They are all scientific facts that a physicist is laying out, and for some reason mainstream scientists have already came to a conclusion without even studying the object yet. Doesn't that defeat the whole purpose of science? And doesn't that smell of an obvious cover-up to what this object could potentially be? And just for the record, I'm not stating that this is a definite UFO. There's also a lot of physicists also stating evidence and claiming that it is a comet coming through the solar system. Here's Michio Kaku explaining the evidence that he's gained and explaining his point of view.
We are still waiting on those. These ones are out of Spain. Some are noting it looks like this object has lost its tail after passing the sun. What's your take here? And if there's no tail, does that mean this is indeed not a comet?
Well, I have my own point of view on this. And that is that this is a very old object, perhaps 7 billion years old. And in 7 billion years, there's been plenty of time to accumulate garbage. That's why, for example, the nickel content of the comet is off scale. Its chemical composition is not what an ordinary comet should be. And that, I think, is because over 7 billion years, it's had plenty of time to accumulate different gases, different elements, different kinds of environments that it goes into. And I think that explains a lot of the mystery behind the comet.
And that's it for today's video. If you'd like me keeping you informed about what the mainstream media will not, please share my video around to your friends and family, and also check out my Instagram and X at Aussie UFO News. And also check out that gaming channel. See you next time.